Welcome to eclipse season. Yes, we are bringing in a new season with the equinox. We've got two eclipses in the month of September. It is a jam packed, very excitable astrological month in September. Welcome, Cancer Rising Signs, to your horoscope. I'm Cosmic Girl. Trust you're doing well, and thank you for joining me here. As tradition, I like to open up the video talking about your chart ruler, which is the moon, and then we're going to get into the chronological astrology for the month. So let's talk about your chart ruler, the moon. Well, last month on the 23rd, may have been the 24th of August, there was a new moon for you in your natal third house. And that natal third house, there was a quite new beginning. That was with travel, siblings, extended family members, education, even your immediate environment. Something new was brewing, something began, a quite new beginning. And that means for you as a Cancer rising sign that there was something seeded around the 23rd, 24th of August. And now that moon, your chart ruler, is now growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And on the 7th of the month, we are having a full moon in the zodiac sign of Pisces. For you, this is your natal ninth house. And just for fun, it's the first eclipse of the month. And then later in the month, on the 21st, we are having a second new moon in your natal third house. But this is a solar new moon partial eclipse. So you're having two new beginnings in your natal third house. So it's very interesting, especially the astrology and especially with your chart rule of the moon, having two new beginnings in the natal third house. So whatever was starting to brew, you're ready to open up and blossom in your community with communication, travel, education, extended family members and siblings. There's now a double new beginning there. But with a solar eclipse on the 21st of the month, it is doubly potent. And we're going to get into what this all means for you as a Cancer rising sign in this video. So, opening up the month, your chart ruler is getting closer and closer. It is waxing, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when it gets to the full moon stage, there is a aha moment. But the aha moment is all about that first new moon on the 23rd or 24th of August. So big astrology coming your way, Cancer rising sign, in the month of September. So let's get into the planets in transits, but your focus point primarily is on the moon and the moon's phases and what your chart ruler is up to in the month of September. We're not dismissing the significance of all the other planets in transits, not at all. We would never ignore the other deities or the sun, but we, as Cancer rising signs listeners, we are keeping our ears peeled for the word the moon, because when the moon is being aspected, it's going to be significant for you. Okay, let's get into the month of September through the lens of astrology. Your horoscope this month is extra potent. Let's go, Cancer risings. So let's talk about planet Mars, our planet of aggression, action, and passion. Well, Mars for you continues its transit in your natal fourth house of home, family, real estate, property, privacy. It's your domestic life. Mars ingressed into Libra, your natal fourth house, on the 25th of August, only last month, and will continue its transit, really firing up that natal fourth house until the 22nd of this month. Now, Mars is your 10th house and 5th house ruler. So, within your family life and things you're dealing with behind closed doors, can also be factoring in the topics such as your career, achievements, anything of an official capacity, your public name and identity could be going through a shift, or within the family arena. And you may also be finding that this transit is quite lively and exciting. Your family might be growing. There could be lots of news about pregnancy, discussions about fertility, children, intimacy, and sex are also a focus with this transit, with Mars, the ruler of the native fifth, in the fourth house. Could be quite lively and sexy times going on for the Cancer rising signs with Mars in the natal fourth house until the 22nd of the month. On the 1st of September, we have big astrological news. Planet Saturn, which is our planet of responsibility, legacy, structure, determination, and time and effort, is on the 1st, retrograding back into Pisces. So Saturn is moving out of your natal 10th house. That's your career, your public name, your public identity. It's the house of achievements, anything of an official capacity and authority. And Saturn is now moving off that angular part of your natal chart, the 10th house, and moving into Pisces, your ninth house, for 5 months. What does this astrologically mean for you as a Cancer rising sign? I like to hypothesize that Saturn in Aries, which only ingressed into Aries on the 25th, 26th of May this year, up until the 1st of September, as a trial run. Can we really do it? Or are we experiencing some sobering realities about false starts? And for you as a Cancer rising signs, astrologically speaking, how have you handled the weight of the world on your shoulders regarding taking authority and responsibility with your career, your public name and identity, your worldly achievements? Has it felt dense, heavy, lethargic, hard going? There's been a lot of effort and time pushing towards your worldly achievements. How has that experience been for you since the 25th of May this year? So you're the expert in you as a Cancer rising sign. Only you know how Saturn feels in the natal 10th house. Well, for 5 months, Saturn takes the pressure off all of us when he retrogrades back into emotional, whimsical, intuitive, sensitive Pisces. So this transit for you, with Saturn getting off that angular part of your natal chart, the 10th house, for 5 months, is going to be a breath of fresh air, but not without some heavy, heavy realities coming in thick and fast. So let's talk about this. So Saturn back in the ninth house of travel, foreigners, foreign places, higher education, academia, philosophy, religion, faith, and belief. For 5 months, Saturn is re entering this sphere and putting Cancer rising signs to task. How confident and certain are you about your worldly ambitions, your public name, your career, and the achievements that you set out for yourself? Because Saturn is going to put you to work. So, do you need to get your head back in the books, put some academic feathers back in your cap to feel strong and certain about your path forward when it comes to your professional industry? Saturn really lays it on thick. But in Pisces, Saturn is hypothesizing about the emotional payoff. Is the juice worth the squeeze kind of transit? What is it going to take to get what you want? And Saturn in Pisces is seeking out some sort of emotional structure and certainty that can empower you for the long term. So if you need to take a break, readjust, recalibrate your emotional compass, this is the time to do it. Whether that's go on a pilgrimage, put your head back in the books, go and connect with different people to learn and develop more philosophy that's expansive, a transit to expand your mind, body, spirit, and soul. Saturn is saying, no problem, but it has to have gumption behind it. You cannot be rolling around in your emotions with no structure and losing yourself and surrendering to things that can take you away from empowerment and authority and sovereignty when Saturn gets back into your natal 10th house of your career and your worldly achievements and ambitions. It's a big transit. There's a lot to think and consider with Saturn going back in your natal ninth house. In fact, for all of us, Saturn going back into Pisces feels like a test. Can we really do it? What has been endured since the 25th of May this year with Saturn in fiery, passionate Aries, which is all about self starting, individuality, entrepreneurship, and feeling youthful and lively and having the determination belief that we can do what we want to do. But it's gonna take effort, passion, time, gumption, and determination to get what we want. So, Saturn for 5 months is sort of taking us into our emotional spheres. And with that, we get to determine what emotions are siphoning our progress and what emotions are serving us. So it's contemplation and decision time for all of us, with Saturn going back into Pisces for 5 months. On the 27th of November, Saturn will be stationing and going direct at 25 degrees. So that's a big day to mark in your calendar regarding responsibility and certainty about your future when Saturn gets back into Aries, your natal 10th house on February 14, where he'll stay put until April 12, 2028. So there's a lot to consider regarding emotional responsibility, holding your own, and being autonomous with this transit. With Saturn in the ninth house of Pisces for 5 months, it's definitely time to get down to brass tacks. What do you believe in? What do you have faith in? What's your philosophy on life? How does it emotionally serve you or siphon you or block you where you get lost in the weeds? Saturn here is helping you see the emotional forest for the trees. Very beneficial transit with Saturn in Pisces, your natal ninth house from the 1st of September till February 14, 2026. Okay, now let's move on to the outer generational planets being Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune. For the whole month, these outer generational planets are sextiling and trining one another. So there's a lot of flow here with air and fire. So inspiration, entrepreneurship, go get 'em attitude is easily accessed with Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune retrograde all communicating very well. So this is about forward thinking, thinking about our futures, what we're going to need to get ourselves over a personal line. Who do we need to team up with? Who's our buddies? And what do we have to shoulder and harbour on our own? It's big astrological stuff and questions going on here. But the fact that these outer generational planets are in trines and sextiles, then it's easy to access intel about the future and how we can move with it instead of fighting against it and getting lost in the past. I really like the astrology for the month of September. A quick side note, Uranus officially goes into a retrograde on the 6th of September. So for the whole month, the outer generational planets are they're doing their thing. They're showing us the future. They're giving us small hints. Now, the outer generational planets, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, are very slow planets that transit through a zodiac sign. They take such a long time, but they're important. They're like the key protagonists, silently playing out significant stories in the background of our own natal charts and our lives. So, what's up for grabs or what's significant with these outer generational planets for the Cancer rising signs for the month of September moving forward? What stories are playing out that need your attention and that are going to help you move into the future with confidence. Well, it's your 12th house where things feel overwhelming, where you lose yourself in isolation and solitude and big institutions. What is it about that natal 12th house that you need to muscle up about? You're the expert in you, Cancer rising sign. Only you know the answer to that. So, this is about identifying what takes control over you and where you lose agency and getting on top of it. We also have Pluto retrograding in Aquarius, and that's in natal eighth house. So, what's up for grabs here is Pluto in Aquarius is helping the Cancer rising signs consider financial and resources from other people that impact you for better or worse. So, being Aquarius, then we are talking about the future, people, groups, and communities. What resources can you bank on, and what resources are siphoning you? This is a great transit to identify who has Cancer rising's back in a financial capacity or any resources that are of merit to you that you can bank on. Also, we have Pluto retrograding in that natal eighth house, asking the Cancer rising signs, what do you need to end? This is the natal eighth house of death. So this is about what do I need to eliminate? So you can contemplate a process of elimination. It could be about shared resources or finances or any assets or possessions. What do you need to release to free you up for your future self? This is all up for contemplation as well. And the natal eighth house, also where Pluto is retrograding, is about inheritance. So you may be really considering such things as life policies, looking at significant documents and paperwork about inheritance. This could be anything to do with possessions, bank accounts, community banks, people that you may have financial control over. This is all up for review with Pluto retrograding in this natal eighth house. We also have Neptune retrograding in natal 10th house of your career, achievement, anything of an official capacity, your public name and identity. So Neptune's really putting the Cancer rising signs to task. What is your ideal vision for your worldly ambitions and your public name and persona? What is it going to take to make it a reality? And where are you hoodwinking yourself? Where are you kidding yourself? Because Neptune can be very deceptive. So we want to have our mental faculties about us when we've got Neptune retrograding in Aries, about new starts and sovereign beginnings. So Neptune is asking Cancer rising signs, what's it going to take to have that ideal vision, that fantasy about what we want to achieve on the world stage? What's it going to take? How can we turn fantasy into reality kind of questions? So it's big stuff, big astrology going on. But the fact that these outer generational planets are in sextiles and trines with one another, all of this intel and all of these questions are easily accessed and easy to hit on the head and not get lost in the weeds. Big, big astrology. On the 2nd of September, we see Mercury ingress into Virgo, your natal third house. So, yeah, things are going to get really busy from the 2nd to the 18th of September, with Mercury zooming through your house of communication, travel, education, siblings, extended family members, your community, your neighbors. It's just on with Mercury functioning very well in domicile and exaltation in your natal third house from the 2nd to the 18th of September. We also have the Sun here in the natal third house of Virgo until the 22nd of the month. And so you're on notice to make sure your phone's charged. Make sure you reply to all the emails and invitations and petrol in the car. Make sure you've got your pencil sharpened when you're getting into the courses and learning what you need to learn. It's just on from the 2nd to the 18th. Your life is about to get very, very busy in that natal third house with Mercury in Virgo, its sign of rulership, where it's in domicile and exalted, functioning very well. The sun is here, certainly lighting up opportunities that are closer to home than you may anticipate. So, this is great for marketing, selling, researching, learning, teaching, and getting things in balance. Great transit for action and go time in executing plans and extending your reach. Really, really good transit for you as a Cancer rising sign with Mercury in Virgo. On the 3rd of September, we have interesting planetary aspects, but they're quite feisty. We've got squares going on the 3rd of September. So let's talk about this day. So Jupiter, which is well positioned in your natal first house, giving you the belief, the structure, determination to do what you know is really good for you, is having a square with Mars in your natal fourth house. So this can be quite challenging to get your point across, your voice heard, or you may be really laying it on thick in regards to making you a priority over something to do with your family or domestic sphere on the 3rd. So easy does it when you really are quite determined and someone is challenging you and you may be feeling quite feisty on the 3rd of September. So, deep breaths. We also have Mercury squaring off with Uranus. And what this challenge could be about, whether it's you in conflict about real estate, property, your home life, family, whatever you're trying to convey, may have a hint of feeling isolated, lost, or confused about information or not knowing plans that are being laid out by others. So, this can be quite the day of irritation on the 3rd of September when you may get some surprise curveballs that really do make you feel very left out in the cold, and you might really be using your throat chakra quite loudly on the 3rd. Easy does it. On the 7th, we have our first eclipse of September, and it's a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces in that natal ninth house that we've been discussing, where Saturn just retrograde back into. And it's happening at 15 degrees of Pisces. Full moon lunar eclipse. This is your chart ruler now on full display, and this is a big, big graduation point. So, for Cancer rising signs, this can be quite the lunar eclipse for you. Lunar eclipses indicate a big chapter closing down, a moment of reveal that can be quite emotionally cathartic in Pisces. So, I put to Cancer rising signs, are you celebrating anything to do with international travel, foreigners, foreign places, higher education, religion, something that you have emotionally invested in for a very long time? Is it all coming to pass and flourishing and blooming right now? I wouldn't be too surprised on the 7th of September if there is a peak graduation point that is very emotionally cathartic for you. This can be the changing of the guard kind of full moon lunar eclipse in the natal ninth house. What emotionally is being released and exhaled from? It can be quite at the full moon where you get to silently express emotional fulfillment on something that you have been invested in regarding opening up your mind, body, spirit, and soul. And that is a beautiful moment to enjoy on the 7th of September. If this is a bittersweet ending, then there's something needs to be shifted and changed here. And that's what eclipses do. They get us out of an emotional funk, especially in Pisces, if we've invested way too much time and energy into something that has been fair weather or over sacrificing. An interesting first eclipse for the month of September. Enjoy it as a Cancer rising sign. This is your moon's moment for complete revelations regarding emotional success or emotional depletion. Either way, you are closing down a very long story in that natal ninth house where Saturn is now retrograde. On the 12th, we have Jupiter in your first house, sextiling the Sun and Mercury. So you may be the bearer of good news regarding new starts, your health, your identity that improves your daily environment and routines, anything to do with travel, education, siblings, extended family members, something in the community, something's ripe, you're ready to engage with full emotional commitment on the 12th. So there's something quite big going on for the Cancer rising signs on the 12th of September, where you are the instigator of new beginnings within that natal third house of Virgo. Really, really good astrology. On the 13th, the next day, the Sun conjuncts Mercury. And this is a Kazemi. So Mercury planet Mercury is in the heart of the sun. So the sun is empowering and giving Mercury intel, optimism, and inspiration. So I wonder for the Cancer rising signs if you are improving assets, possessions, your livelihood, something that supports you that's really nourishing is starting a new cycle. This could be a birth of a child, a new job, a new career, a new course, a new educational path, a new travel destination, or something in the community is growing and flourishing and starting, especially on the 13th when Mercury conjuncts the Sun. Absolutely beautiful astrology. I think Cancer rising signs are making some pretty important and big and powerful strides in the month of September. The next day on the 14th, Venus is bringing Mars some very good news. Again, this is Venus lavishing on Mars from Leo, your natal second house of livelihood, assets, possessions, money, things that support you are coming into flow into the family and home and real estate sphere. So Venus brings the Cancer rising signs from the second house to the fourth house. Very good news. This can be lavish gifts, opulence, money that improves your domestic life, family, real estate, and property. Expect extremely good news on the 14th of September. Moving on to the 17th, we have Mercury opposing Saturn. So, this can be a tug of war regarding beliefs and communication. So, this could be unfinished business that needs to be tied up on the 17th. So, you're on notice that something needs to be completed, signed off on the 17th. Then the 18th, we now see Mercury ingress into Libra, your natal fourth house, until October 6th. And Mercury in Libra is very good regarding anything to do with real estate sales or purchasing. Mercury in Libra is very good at cashing in on opportunities to express one's desire within the home and the family. So there can be a lot of action going on with Mercury in Libra from the 18th of September to October 6th. This could be a lot of in and out, travel in and out of the home, relocating, maybe trying to look at an investment property. Parents could be going through big shifts and changes in their lives, and obviously will have some capacity of impact on you or the family unit. This could also see an upgrade regarding your domestic life with purchases, whether that's bringing in new furnishings, artwork, or anything that improves the aesthetics of the home. It's a really good transit for that with Mercury in Libra in your natal fourth house. And it's really good at debating, getting down to brass tacks when you need to communicate about the more denser things in life, like property deeds, ancestry, your heritage, and anything that you do in private can be discussed, and there can be more harmony and balance and flow now with Mercury in Libra in your natal fourth house from the 18th to October 6th. It's a really good transit. But on the 18th, when Mercury does ingress into Libra, he immediately opposes Neptune retrograde in your natal 10th house of your career, your public achievements, and your professional arena. So Mercury is challenging someone that has some sort of authority or power over them. So this can be about a real estate or property dispute. A family member could be challenged by an authority figure regarding something of an official nature that needs to be sorted out. So the 18th can be a day where it's very unclear where everyone stands. It will pass, but it could be a bit of a snafu that needs to be ironed out on the 18th regarding your home life, parents, property, real estate, and your domestic life. Moving on to the 19th, we now see Venus leave Leo, your natal second house, and move into Virgo, your third house, until October 13. So when Venus is traversing through your natal third house, this is all about connection, finding your tribe. Where do you want to expand and grow? Is it through travel, education, and you want to get a new car, upgrade your technology? This is the transit to do it with Venus in Virgo. Traditionally, she's in fall. So from the 19th of September to October 13, with Venus in Virgo in fall, Venus is just doing her very best to enjoy the community, extended family members, travel, education, siblings. Venus just wants to bring everything together and have fun. And when she's in fall in Virgo, she finds it hard to feel connected. So don't be too surprised if you're feeling a bit nervous with this transit, if you're marketing or pitching yourself or extending your reach. It's not too much of a surprise astrologically because Venus is in fall. But what I do like is that Mercury, who is the ruler of Virgo, is in Libra, your natal fourth house of home, family, real estate, and domestic life, and is ruling Venus in Venus' sign of rulership, which is Libra. I hope that makes sense. So, what we've got here is what we call mutual reception. So, there's a helping hand, even though it might feel a little bit tentative, nerve wracking to extend your reach and get going and out and about in the community and travel and learn and hook up with people and enjoy your backyard, for better words. Mercury in the fourth house is helping Venus out. So, family members could be an ambassador. Real estate and property can be very comfortable and predictable for you to feel safe to move out in community and move around. So, that's not too much of a difficult transit from my astrological perspective with Venus in Virgo in fall from the 19th of September to October 13. Interesting transit though. We also have on the 19th, Mercury in Libra is trining Uranus retrograde and Pluto retrograde. So, this is fantastic for resources and support to execute your well laid plans. Anything to do within your home life and things that you deal with in private behind closed doors is well supported by other people's resources, inheritance, and things that have been a little bit difficult to navigate seems to be coming together to improve the foundations in your life. So I really like that on the 19th with Mercury trining Uranus and Pluto retrograde. Okay, how you doing, Cancer rising sign? There's a lot going on in September astrologically, right? Okay, on the 20th, we have Uranus squaring Venus, and we have the Sun opposing Saturn. So we've got two aspects going on here, a square and an opposition. I'm not too overly concerned about this because with Uranus squaring off with Venus, And this is the push you just may need to get over those nerves in extending your reach kind of day. So it may feel like, oh, you're being really pushed and urged to take action, but it just might be the tonic you need. So don't be too overwhelmed to take a bold step forward on the 20th, even though it may feel a little tentative and sensitive. And we also have the sun opposing Saturn. So, with the sun saying no, for better words, to Saturn, then this is again something needs to be tied up with a nice red bow. And this can be challenging when there is unfinished business that you thought was said and done kind of day on the 20th. So, action is needed, even though you may feel a little pushed or out of your comfort zone on the 20th. We have our second eclipse on the 21st of the month. It is a new moon partial solar eclipse in Virgo in your house of community, your backyard, neighbors, travel, education, siblings, and extended family members. It's a very busy house, that natal third house, where a lot of action has been going on for you as a Cancer rising sign. So new moons are quite new beginnings, but when there's solar eclipses, they really do pack a punch. And being a solar eclipse, this is about leadership, autonomy, control, standing out from a crowd. And it's at 29 degrees, so it's right at the end of the zodiac sign of Virgo. And then it's going to transition into that natal fourth house. Okay, so this is kind of big because new moon partial solar eclipses are nothing to overlook and think, this is nothing's going to happen here. Something's happening for sure, Cancer rising signs. In this busy third house of Virgo, we're talking about the zodiac sign that is interested in building a harvest. Virgo is interested in providing quality service, precision, excellence, diligence. This is Virgo. And Virgo is the mentor, has the tools to get a job done, intelligent tools that are practical, that can take Virgo the distance. So when you have a powerful new beginning here, the second new moon in Virgo for you, this is no BS. Let's go. Let's execute our well laid plans kind of solar new moon solar eclipse. And in that third house, that is ultimately the third house is where we get out into community, we spread our wings, and we enjoy interaction. So, this new moon partial solar eclipse is going to have the Cancer rising signs seriously, diligently ready to inject life force into their daily environment. And this can be quite the empowering power up moment that you need, whether that is taking on mentorship, becoming a teacher, journeying to new places, knocking shoulders with different interesting people, something new, something very powerful is happening here at the 29th degree. So this is, oh my gosh, is it now or never kind of partial new moon solar eclipse. So sitting on the fence is no longer an option when we're talking about that natal third house. Our travel, communication, siblings, extended family members, all these busy third house components, something needs to break into a new trajectory here. So it's go time on the 21st of September. So if you've been sitting on the fence with the first new moon, umming and ahhing, am I, do I, don't I, am I really in it? Is my heart and soul in it? The answer will be a complete yes on the 21st. And so whatever's brewing or has been brewing since the last new moon, this is action time. And this new beginning that you want to sincerely happen, that really has a sense of practicality to it, then this is the moment where you execute. It's really powerful new moon partial solar eclipse on the 21st for you as a Cancer rising sign. Good luck with that. You're ready. You're so ready. On the 22nd, yay, we're bringing in the equinox now. We have the equinox season begin. So it's the beginning of the autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere begins its spring equinox. So it changes season for the next 3 months. So it's a very changeable, pivotal moment for all of us here on Terra Firma. Okay, on the 22nd, we have the Sun ingress into Libra, into your natal fourth house until the 22nd of October for 4 weeks. The Sun, the ruler of Leo, your natal second house of livelihood, assets, possessions, things that support you, is now going into the natal fourth house, where it's like setting foundations that are harmonious, balanced. Everything is aesthetically pleasing kind of transit with the sun in the natal fourth house. So, nutting out any differences with imbalance regarding real estate, home, property, family, parents, your sense of solid foundations is all up for debate. There's going to be a lot of action here for 4 weeks with the sun in your natal fourth house. This can also factor in a significant solar figure in your life, be it a father or taking leadership or ownership of your own life or your actual physical dwelling and property. Big transit with the sun in the natal fourth for 4 weeks. We also have on the 22nd Mars now leaving Libra and ingressing into Scorpio, where Mars is in domicile. So we've got a very strong Mars, our planet of action, passion, and aggression. Is now from the 22nd of September moving into your natal fifth house until November 3rd. So, where's all the action, passion, and adventure and all this aggression coming towards? What are you motivated towards? Is love, intimacy, pregnancy, fertility, getting creative, artistic endeavors. It's on with Mars in Scorpio. You're going there. You're going into those taboo subjects and topics that are skimmed over. You're more than prepared to get weird and wacky with this transit with Mars in deep, sensual, secretive Scorpio. It's quite some transit. It's going to be lively. It's your natal fifth house, things that do bring you joy and pleasure with Mars functioning very well in its own sign of rulership being Scorpio, that it won't be too much of a push to really put your heart and soul and passion into things that really do get your motor going. Beautiful transit with Mars in Scorpio in your natal fifth house from the 22nd of September till November 3rd. And it's a really good transit also, Cancer rising signs. Anything that you want to create out of thin air can happen. All you need is passion and determination, and drop into the intuition here and trust the gut. When you get that creative urge to create something brand new that really does inspire you, this is the transit to execute. Really, really powerful stuff with Mars well positioned in Scorpio. Oh boy, the 23rd to the 25th of September. These 2 days of the month. It's a lot. There's a lot going on and there's a lot of tension and conflict. You're not the only one going through it, Cancer rising signs. We're all having the same sort of very chaotic couple of days. Let's talk about why. Mars, which is so strongly positioned in Scorpio in your house of passion and love that we talked about, is squaring off with Pluto. Pluto is trining the Sun. The Sun is opposing Neptune retrograde in Aries. And the Sun is also trining Uranus retrograde. That is a lot going on in 2 days. It is a jam packed, like loggerhead days we're all going to be experiencing here. Us mere plebs are just doing our very best for these 2 days to navigate some very conflictual, chaotic energy. So, astrologically, the best advice I can give you on these 2 days as a Cancer rising sign is to hold firm with your convictions. This is not about bending the knee, being swayed, overrun, or overpowered, because it can feel like a lot of pressure coming from all different directions at once in these 2 days. Could be coming from family, other people's resources that are entangled with yours. It could be coming from your work, your public name and identity being challenged, or the family being challenged. There's just a lot going on. But with Mars well positioned in your house of what you love, creativity and intimacy and partnership, this can be where it all comes to a screeching halt on these days, and everyone is holding a firm line. So, heads up, astrologically, you may need an astrology umbrella on these 2 days. But with Mars positioned so well in Scorpio, I think Mars is going to win out here, which is really good for you because Mars in your natal fifth house are things that bring you joy and pleasure, sex and intimacy, romantic partnerships, creativity, things that really do for your heart and soul is the strongest here. So there's something, or maybe someone is challenging you or questioning the validity of what your heart and soul is really connected to, or what you're trying to inject life force into. So easy does it for these 2 days on the 23rd to the 25th. That's your astrology for the month. I trust you have a great eclipse season, Cancer rising signs. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Cosmic Girl. Really, sincerely. With Mars in your natal fifth house of Scorpio from the 22nd of September to November 3rd, this is trusting those instincts and your heart's desire. This is not about factoring outside noise when it comes to pursuing things that really do mean the world to you. That is going to be a very important transit for you. You have Jupiter in your first house. Jupiter is giving you more than enough energy and optimism and life force to execute plans that are really emotionally important to you. So that is such a good ally, benefactor, for better words, having planet Jupiter in your first house all the way until the 30th of June next year. So that natal first house and the natal fifth house, they trine one another. And I think the significance between the 23rd and the 25th of feeling challenged and questioned and it's all too much. This is about you holding firm kind of couple of days and being true to yourself, having your convictions respected, not overlooked or overrun or overtalked. Interesting month astrologically for you, Cancer rising signs. All the best to you. If you have any astrological questions or would like to work one on one with me regarding your own personal journey with your natal chart, I can be contacted at cosmicgirl101 at protonmail.com. Till next time, Cancer rising signs, stay cosmic.